Jeffrey Epstein flight logs continue to remain sealed, which is odd. And now there are Republican congressmen who are fighting for the release of the sealed documents. Tim Burchett, who is a Republican congressman, is now urging Congress to subpoena Epstein's flight logs to identify his alleged co-conspirators when it comes to the human trafficking charges that Jeffrey Epstein had brought against him. In a letter that was sent to the House Oversight Committee on Monday, Burchett said that there are still many unanswered questions surrounding Epstein's operation, including the identities of America's most powerful and well-known people who may be involved in the conspiracy. Burchett wrote, "The American people have a right to know who took part in Epstein's disgusting business that ruined so many lives. More importantly, their victims deserve justice and accountability." This comes after Democrats blocked an effort by Senator Marsha Blackburn, who is also a Republican congresswoman, who subpoenaed the flight logs. She attempted to subpoena them earlier this month as well as last month. And the question becomes, Jeffrey Epstein has been dead for 4 years. He died August
4 years?
10th of 2019. Jeffrey Epstein died.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're 4.5 years out of this guy being dead. Why are we continuing to keep the flight logs hidden from the American public? And when you dig into Jeffrey Epstein's background, it kind of makes sense why they don't want the flight logs released. How much do you guys actually know about Jeffrey Epstein?
Everything.
I mean,
Okay, I know a computer.
Brandon's a computer, but I mean, dude, I've paid attention while everything that was happening with him. I watched a couple of documentaries. I know I've heard rumors that he might have been, Mossad agent setting up all these people. I do know that he apparently had a bunch of cameras in this house where he would invite everybody, get all this dirt on all these people, basically giving them whatever they wanted. Underage, let's not lie to each other. They were hooking up with underage kids. It's out there. We're not making this up. And recording it, and then once these people went back to their regular lives, whatever they wanted or favors or whatever agency he was working for, they would say, hey, listen, do this. If not, send them this is you hooking up with a 14-year-old boy or girl, and then that's just the ultimate blackmail. And then, I think once the evidence of what he was doing had to come to light, because there's only so much crap you could put a cover on until people go, dude, that stinks. It came out, Rob, they arrested him, and that was the moment that I think, and me and you talked about this, the moment which I know happened, we don't know who it was. What powerful person saw the news break and went, oh my God, he's arrested. He's dying this week. We're going to kill him this week. So that's basically where I'm at, Rob. I don't understand that. Like Ghislaine, she's going to be out in 20 years. She has like a 20-year sentence. She knows everything. She has all the dirt yet. They haven't tried to kill her or...
So did you know that previous to the arrest that ended in Jeffrey Epstein's death, he had been arrested before?
Yeah, I've seen depositions of him, yes.
Okay, so I like to deal with what I do know, because what I don't know is why they refused to release the flight logs. We don't know who's on the flight logs, and we don't know the purpose behind Jeffrey Epstein's actions. We can only assume.
Yeah.
So I started doing a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein's background to try and answer some of those questions. And what we do know about Jeffrey Epstein, in the 70s, without having any teaching background or certifications or previous history teaching at all, he got hired as a physics and mathematics teacher at the Dalton School in Manhattan, a very prestigious private school in Manhattan. He ended up getting fired due to poor performance because he had no experience doing the job. Makes sense. He then moves into the finance world. He ends up joining Bear Stearns in 1980. Rises from a low-level junior assistant to a floor trader to eventually becoming a limited partner before he was fired from the firm for Regulation D violations. So he rises from, guy that's on the very low level, the mailroom level, and then rises up to partner only to get fired. Then he founds his own consultant firm in the 1980s called Intercontinental Assets Group. And this is a group, an organization that Jeffrey Epstein tells people he assists clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. However, during this time, he starts telling people that he's also an intelligence agent, that he possesses an Australian passport with a photo of him but a different name, and his place of residence is listed in Saudi Arabia. At this same exact time, he is retained by Saudi Arabian businessman Adnan Khashoggi, who was the middleman in transferring American weapons from Israel to Iran as part of the Iran-Contra scandal of the 1980s. So he has very weird ties very early on.
Yes, and I mean, just from the beginning, he sounded like Hunter, no experience, but he gets the job. And then it's kind of, it's so like, why would he be telling people that you're a freaking agent of any? That's bragging when you shouldn't be bragging.
In fact, in 2017, a former senior White House official reported that Alexander Aosta, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who ended up handling Epstein's 2008 case, he told people during the Trump transition interviews that I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, and that Epstein was above his pay grade. So there's these intelligence roots very early on in his career in the 1980s. Then in 1991, this is when it explodes. He meets Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of disgraced media baron Robert Maxwell, who, according to the Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Office of the Government of the United Kingdom, they considered him to be a secret agent of a foreign government. They claimed that he had links to the MI6, which is the British intelligence
CIA.
service, the KGB, which is the Russian agent, and then the Israeli Mossad as well. All of a sudden, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein start canoodling. They're spending time together, and then his business explodes. 1990s, after meeting Epstein in 91, or meeting Ghislaine Maxwell in 91, he starts bringing on high, wealthy clients, high-profile clients. His business explodes, and he starts making billions of dollars in the 90s, right after he meets Ghislaine Maxwell.
Weird.
You fast forward to 2001. Bill Clinton's on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane called the Lolita Express on 26 different trips. 2005, a 14-year-old girl and her parents reported that Epstein molested her at his Palm Beach mansion.
Jeez.
2006, police charged Epstein with unlawful sex acts with persons under the age of consent. However, in 2007, Alexander Aosta, the same person we spoke about earlier, he filed a non-prosecution agreement against Epstein, which allowed Epstein to plead to lesser charges, and he served a lenient 18-month sentence in which 6 days out of 7, Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to leave prison to go work. Work was his home, where he was molesting and trafficking women.
God.
So imagine you get sentenced for having sex with an underage girl.
And they home arrest you.
Yeah, so then you get to go every day, you get to go to work, which is your home, to then continue to molest young girls.
Oh my God.
He doesn't actually really get in trouble for this until the late 2000s. He's arrested in 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges. But what's interesting is in that interim between the 2008 charges and the 2019 charges is all the evidence that starts coming out about Jeffrey Epstein and his ties to wealthy, influential people. In a 2015 article from International Business Times, the article's titled, "Prince Andrew Might Have Been Caught on Tape with Sex Slave." That's the title of the article.
Jeez.
In the article, it says that Epstein installed concealed cameras in numerous places on his properties to allegedly record sexual activity with underage girls by prominent people for criminal purposes such as blackmail. This has been written about, so if it's in, I know that we don't trust the media anymore. But in 2015,
printing it, they're liable.
So Vanity Fair, the 2019 article, says that Ghislaine Maxwell told a friend of Epstein that Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands was completely wired for video, and the friend believed that Maxwell and Epstein were videotaping everyone on the island as an insurance policy.
Wow.
They even interviewed a woman named Maria Farber, who worked for Epstein back in the 90s, who noted that even as early as 1996, Jeffrey Epstein had a media room inside of his New York mansion where there were individuals monitoring pinhole cameras throughout the house. The media room was accessed through a hidden door inside the home. She stated that the media room had men that were sitting there, and I looked at the cameras. She saw toilets, beds.
Jeez.
She said that it was very obvious that where they were, where the cameras were mounted, they were put in such a position to monitor people's private moments. So all of this information comes out. Jeffrey Epstein's clearly filming people having weird sex. There's clearly ties to underage girls, and yet the federal government continues, for whatever reason, to continue to stand in the way and block the release of the Epstein flight logs. But why? Some of the people that have been named on the flight logs, the New York Times actually had a copy of the flight logs and released in 2019, people who have been on the planes, including Robert F. Kennedy, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, George Mitchell, who is a former senator and the Senate Majority Leader, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, Kevin Spacey, Naomi Campbell, Chris Tucker.
Jay-Z, Beyonce. Yeah.
Very weird one. Chris Tucker. I guess he was a huge Rush Hour fan. I don't know.
I heard, him and Bill Clinton were there.
Larry Sanders, Sergey Brin, tons of people are implicated in either being an associate of Jeffrey Epstein or flying on these planes, many of them after the 2008 conviction for the sex crime. So not the 2019 ones, but the 2008.
So this log is after 2008?
Yes. Well, some of these flights, the log was released after 2008, 2019. These flights are both before his conviction and after. Bill Clinton flying on the plane 26 times, 26 between 2001 and 2003. Now, I get it. Bill Clinton flies around a lot. You can make the argument that these guys are on private jets, right? They don't know who owns them all the time. Bill Clinton flies all over the globe. But to be on the same plane that's labeled the Lolita Express 26 different times in a 24-month span, that's weird to me.
And as president of the United States, you'd be a little skeptical of who he's with.
Oh, what do you mean? But the fact that you know that your every move that you do as president or after the president, their secret service, they're watching you. They know what you're doing. They know where you're going. And it's crazy though, Rob. Like, I think after that, once the conviction happens, that's the first list. I'd be like, okay, guys, you know he's a pedophile and he's having sex with underage girls, whatever the hell he was doing. Explain yourself. Why are you hanging out with do you guys hang out with any pedophiles? I don't know one pedophile.
One time.
That's whatever.
No. Wait, he was a guest on the show, Anthony Weiner. So I think
that's hilarious.
The only time I've hung out with a pedophile was in work purposes.
But you're not traveling with him. But it's so interesting, Rob. Like once you break it down, just like that, the rise of him, and then the fall with the getting arrested and then in jail, and then the obvious killing of him inside of jail. I mean, we're not stupid. The cameras weren't working. It's always the same story.
There's some great stuff when it comes to his actual death. He was supposed to be monitored every 30 minutes.
For suicide or everything?
No, originally they said that he tried to commit suicide several days before he actually did.
That's the setup.
He was hospitalized and put into a separate wing for 6 days. Then he was put back into a prison cell. He was supposed to have someone in the cell with him and monitoring him every 30 minutes. But apparently the security guards not only fell asleep, but the 2 cameras that were outside monitoring his room weren't functioning the night.
They felt like what? What are the odds?
He also broke a bone in his neck that, according to a study, only 6% of suicides result in this neck bone being broken.
Yeah.
Yet his falls into that 6%. There was all kinds of marks to his body, which indicated that there was a struggle.
Of course.
Even his lawyer said that they did not believe that he had committed suicide. Yet, not only did the Federal Bureau of Prisons and the Attorney General, Bill Barr at the time, the day that he died, they came out and announced that it was suicide. Without having any no autopsy, no investigation. They found his body, and then that day they come out and they go, yeah, he killed himself.
Yeah, just like with JFK, with Oswald, they had everything. He shot him. There was this. It was like, bro, when the information is laid out that fast, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't.
So the question is,
this fucking story.
Why? Why do they continue to hide? The guy's been dead for 4 years, so they're not protecting him. So who are they protecting?
Think about who's attached to this and involved in it, because anybody who has a lot of money who's politically connected, you're going to attract a lot of politicians and influential people to parties you host. And that was a big thing he did, is hosting parties, networking, things like that. And I think something that gets overlooked is it's not like he's just outwardly a pedophile and people see him that way. A lot of it's probably, yeah, he has girls that are 16 years old that look like they could be older at these events, and people end up hooking up with them on camera. And then after the fact, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, she was 16. So it's not like a thing where oh, hey, I have these young girls that are underage, come hook up with them. It's like, yeah, I'm having a party. Yeah, there's going to be good looking girls there. Oh, by the way, they're 16. After you hooked up with them and you're on camera doing it. So
if you go somewhere 26 times, I think at one point you're going to be like, okay, I'm going because these girls are young as shit. And I think that relationship with him, with Epstein and Bill Clinton is one of the most prominent ones. It's because, like Tim was saying,
Clinton's in that game too, though.
Big time. By the way, just listen to me. The left, the Democrats, obviously the Republicans do stupid shit too. They get in trouble. But the left is, from what I've seen, they're dirtier, they're more corrupt, and they get away with it because, bro, think about this. if you have the system set up, if you have the judges, if you have the lawyers and everybody in your back pocket, you have the majority of the House. Dude, you can literally get away with murder. You can do whatever the hell you want if you're a Democrat.
Well, we call it the cuck party, but it's the Uni Party, like the cleaner version
What
of
do
it.
we
I think so.
The cuck party.
The cuck party. The
Republicans sit there and just watch while the Democrats pound America.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think to go along
But
with
it's the Uni Party. Like the proper term for it's the Uni Party, but the cuck party is our term
What
for
do you say,
it.
Chris?
I think to go along with what you said earlier, like, doesn't he know that he's always on camera with, when you know you're in cahoots with the right people that are going to protect you, you kind of egotistically don't care. Like, you feel protected. I'm untouchable.
Dude, like Hunter Biden is the perfect case. Today he was in front of Congress, not in front, he was outside going, these Republicans, man, they got naked. They're just trying to, my dad's a good dad and this, and guess what?
Oh, it's the Republicans' fault that you had sex with prostitutes while high on meth?
Yeah,
Crack?
he's talking with those teeth that he's whistling through, those aren't his teeth. We paid for these teeth.
He
These
skipped his
taxpayers.
hearing today too.
He skipped it. He's a
skipped-
crackhead.
Straight to
He's a
jail.
piece of shit. He's
But
a
even, I mean,
crackhead.
okay, Hunter Biden untouchable. You would think on the royal side of things in the United Kingdom that anybody associated with the royal family would be untouchable. But look at what happened to Prince Andrew. He got fired from his position in the crown and is now like, and then they evicted him from his home. And he continued a relationship with Epstein after Epstein's conviction. Same with Bill Gates. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates got divorced because Melinda Gates did not like Bill Gates' relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So, I mean, these people that are supposed to be untouchable, there's things that are happening to them. They may not be facing jail time, but I mean, Bill Gates lost half his wealth in that divorce.
Well, you're untouchable until they can't control you anymore. They see you as some sort of threat, or you're, prone to make the mistake that gets them caught.
Well, the
and then
information
you're
is too much. Like I said,
Yeah.
when the poop is too much in the bag,
And I agree. Then why is Ghislaine Maxwell still alive? How is Ghislaine Maxwell not dead if she has the same information? Because again, she was working with Jeffrey Epstein to not only traffic the women, but then to videotape the men that were having sex with the women. How does he die and why is she still alive?
to be honest-
two dying, Brandon. Two dying is like, okay, so that's too obvious. They got to keep her ass alive. They're probably drugging her. Have you seen a photo of her lately?
gonna say, I
She
haven't
looks like crap. She doesn't look good.
To be honest, though, oh god.
No, there's no sunlight on her. She's not doing well. And I think, dude, when the names that you put on the names that you listed, from Jay-Z to all these politicians, it's a cabal. It's a group where they know, like, listen, we have to protect each other, at all costs. So when he got arrested, like you said, it gets to that point where it's like, we can't keep it hush. And like, dude, he has footage of, imagine that phone call. All of you guys put yourself in that in those shoes. You get a phone call, you're A-list, you're a politician. Hey, listen, this freaking guy had cameras when you were with so-and-so. And you know what the next phone call is? We're killing that fucking guy. That's it. That's all it is, bro. You gotta kill him. That's it. And they did it. And this is the only thing that pisses me off. They kill these people in front of our faces, and we're not dumb. It wasn't suicide. And you're not. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do?